Camera's rolling. I have Sval and Ben here. They're gonna roll for you guys as well because in this warm-up we have 3 different movements. We're gonna start off with the straddle rolls. The idea is very simple. You're going to roll on your back. Try to maybe touch your feet on the floor behind you. And when you roll forward, you're gonna just pick a side. They'll start with the right, and then we roll again, and then we move to the left. I also call them sushi rolls when we're in class, but I wanna make it very clear that we're talking about a straddle position today. Right? Then after that, we add some IYT raises face down on the floor, and we finish off rounds with doing the classic speed skater we introduced just a couple of days ago to you guys. So let's get started on the warm-up, and let's have a look at Sval and Ben demoing everything for you. So guys, what I need you to do is we're gonna start with the right leg, okay? So when we reach back, feet together, when we go forward, we aim for the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, shaboom, go back, let's go. Give me a couple more reps for the people at home. And when you are at home, I also want you to go on the floor now and try this out for a couple of reps here. Roll forward, reach for a foot. Good, let's do one more to make everything nice and equal. Perfect, guys. So that was just 4 reps. In the actual warm-up, we'll do 6 reps of this. Now, let's for the second movement, turn over to our bellies with the face down. At home, you can just listen to me and go through this as well. I want you to go with your feet together, and we start with the arms forward. Okay, imagine being an eye here. Now we're gonna have our chest off the floor. We're gonna keep it off the floor just like the arms, and then we're going to make very short range of motion with the arms, pulling them upwards for 1, for 2, for 3. Then you're gonna come back down, and you're gonna bring your hands into an I shape, so your entire body becomes an I shape. Let's do that, yes. And then we go again for 3, so lift your arms up, keep them off, and then 1, 2, and 3. And then we move them out to the side, so we make a T shape of the body, and then we do another 3 reps. 1, 2, 3. Now you guys stay there for a second. Sval is going to show you what to do. This is very easy, which is do everything in a Superman position. So hands are going to be off the floor and feet. And in between the different variations, I don't want your hands to come down to the floor. That's perfectly done. Nice. Good. Now let's finish the set then for the people at home, Sval. Let's do 3 more in the T position. That is very good. Let's rest, buddy. That's nice. Guys, if you ever want to play around with this, you can always go for the alphabets game, where you go on the floor and somebody is going to just give you a letter and you're going to try to make the letter with your body. That's always a good exercise for the core. Now, our third movement will be the speed skater. So let's go stand up at home. If you're having trouble with the people living behind you, just don't jump too hard and don't land too hard. What I need you to do in the starting position is go into like a half squat. As you want to initiate a forward jump, or if you want to initiate a sprint position. That's what I'm looking for. Good. Now we're going to literally jump to the side like we're pushing away from the floor. Let's start to the right, gentlemen. Jump to the right, boom. Jump to the left. Jump to the right. Jump to the left. Crisscross. Jump to the right. Jump to the left. Here we go. Good. Now when you guys are doing this at home, I really need you to focus, you guys are good, at staying as low as you possibly can to get your quads nice and fired up, because that's exactly what we need here. Now what Ben will show you is a couple of injury options you can use for the speed skater. The first one is really has to do with maybe the impact on the floor because of the ankles or the calves or the Achilles, but maybe also because people living below you. In that case, you can do a courtesy lunge. Can you do the arm with it? Like you're really showing me courtesy. Thank you, buddy. That is great. That's Curtis. Look at how beautiful this is. That's nice. So literally you step behind the leg, you make a gentle lunge there, and lots of pressure there in the glutes on the side and in the quad as well, especially on the lateral side of the quad. Beautifully done, Ben. Now what you can also do is go into the speed skater without legs, which is you go, still make the speed movement there with the skater movement with the arms, but now you're swinging. Here we go. That's good. So there's a lot of torso twisting here, which is beautifully done. You still want to make sure you try to twist around the belly button and not too much from the legs, so your legs are still statically pressed in the floor. Good job, Ben. Right. So we just showed you 3 movements, 3 beautiful movements to do the warm-up in, right? Now what we're going to do is set this in a 5-minute quality AMRAP. So I'm going to have Sval and Ben do the first round of the AMRAP, and I need you guys to get off the couch and start the warm-up with us, and you guys just continue after that first round. Remember, you want to go slow, focus on pure quality of movement here. You guys are ready to start? All right, good. We're going to start off with 6 reps of the straddle roll. In 3, 2, 1, game time. Roll back. Now, if you're very subtle and very flexible, you can always aim to gently touch the floor with your toes. There's not a necessity in the movement here, but it might be a good challenge you can throw in. Here we go. Nice. And the way forward, we kind of roll into that straddle, which makes us go a little bit more forward than we can usually do when we just do a seated straddle. That's why we add the rolling element in there. I think in yesterday's workout we did 4 straddles. This comes really close to that. Now, upon completion of the 6 reps, you go into that face down position. You start with the I raises for 3 reps. The thumbs are always pointing up. And then you move to the I variation for 3 and then the T variation for 3. If this is very easy for you, you can also grab your set of bottles and use the bottles or very small plates if you have them during the races here. Important to keep the thumbs pointing to the ceiling. Then upon completion, we move on to the last exercise, which will be the speed skater. We'll do that one for 12 reps. I need a gentleman to stay low and keep the toes pointing forward while jumping. Really using that lateral head of the quad here. And get your glutes fired up as well. You see that curtsy element actually in there every time they hit the floor because one leg comes behind them. Beautifully done. 6, 9, and 12. That was just 1 round. Took approximately 90 seconds. You guys keep going. Try to get 3 rounds in total. Good luck. Our second part today is mobility. But for the mobility, what we'll do is we'll take 2 movements that allow us to actually move, but we're going to do them as slow as we possibly can. The first one we'll choose is the Jefferson curl. For the Jefferson curl, you're going to need some additional weight. If you have a bottle or a heavy book, an encyclopedia, even if you have a kettlebell or a plate or whatever you have, a dumbbell, you can use that to make the Jefferson curl slightly harder. What we're going to look for there is very slow controlled movement on the way down and just as slow on the way up. You always want to be moving in a 2-minute time frame, but you want to do as little repetitions as you possibly can. The same is for the second movement, which will be our inchworm. Now, I just mentioned the 2 movements. That means we're going to start right away. So I'm going to have Ben and Sval start slightly in front of you before you guys start, and then I'll click the button so you guys can go right after. Now, Sval has 2 bottles. Ben has 1 bottle, but I already know that Ben has something standing next to him on which he can actually stand to increase range of motion, which he will do after 1 repetition. So we have to actually take a look at that. Guys, if you guys already want to start for me, please. You want to start by getting your chin onto your chest and slowly start rolling from the spine down, vertebrae per vertebrae, really slow all the way down, down, down. You reach forward, and when you come up, you don't want to think hinge or deadlift or hamstrings. You want to think 1 vertebrae at a time from the bottom all the way up to the top. And I'm going to start the timer now in 10 seconds. At home, you guys can join us. Here we go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go. So as you guys can see, Sval is doing this just standing on the floor. He does have a slight knee bend, which is okay. If you feel like the hamstrings are too much of a limiting factor, you can slightly bend the knees. If you specifically want to target these, you can actually just keep the knees locked out. And we're moving, here we go. So if you look at Ben here for a second, guys, you see he's standing on top of an object. Now the question is, why do we do that? The reason we do that is he can increase range of motion because he has good flexibility there. And you see that he's actually below his feet with the object. So the stretch gets a bit bigger. Now when he goes up, he's not thinking head up, he's thinking vertebrae per vertebrae. So you start with the lower back, he tries to stack his middle back on top of the lower back, then he goes to the upper part all the way up into the neck, and then he extends his head. And don't forget to breathe when you're in the top position of the Jefferson curl. Right? So we got a little over a minute left here. And I don't want you to speed up. This is a very good exercise to do, specifically when you're a stiff person, like all 3 of us here. I think then it's even better to do exercises like these often. All 4 of us, actually. Yeah. And we keep rolling. So maybe a good song in the background would be, we keep them rolling, they hating. Nice, gentlemen. All right, you guys keep going for 10 more seconds. I know Ben and Sval did about 5 to 6 reps. I want them to already switch to the second movement. So at home, that if you see the break, you actually see what they're doing. They're going to start on their inchworms. We have a 20-second transition now. In the inchworm, you want to make as many steps as you possibly can with the hands. You always want to be moving, but you want to be as slow as possible. Here we go. As many steps as you can with the hands, driving that butt into the ceiling, walking yourself forward. Very nice, guys. And at home, you're starting right now as well. So you go into a plank, right? The idea is to keep your hands forward as far as you possibly can while maintaining tension on the core. So I'm okay with Ben's position right there. I think he's far enough. So also a tiny bit further, that is all good. I want you guys at home to see the difference between the length you actually can make in the inchworm there. For little people, this is easier. Here we go. So if you guys look closely, one repetition took more than 30 seconds. So they'll do like 3 reps in total probably in the 2-minute time frame. And I like how they roll up into extension to just get a good breather and then start that second repetition here. So leaning forward into the arms, getting one arm at a time. So normally this is very important and good to feel the hamstrings, get your glutes involved, your lower back nice and stretchy here, your hips nice and opened up. But now with all the steps we're doing with the hands, the shoulders also get lots of work done, which is good. We're a minute down and we have a minute left to this. Very good. Lengthen yourself, gentlemen. That is good. And when you move up, really try to keep your heels off the floor as long as possible. And in that end position, drive them in the floor with your hips coming all the way up to the ceiling. The higher the hip, the better. Here we go. That's an A-frame, ladies and gentlemen. That is an A-frame. "30 more seconds. And even if you know you're not going to finish a repetition, I still want you to start a repetition. 15 more seconds. So while Sval and Ben are finishing up their first round, there is one more round right after this. I need you guys to do that one more round. If you want to do a cool down after today's workout, you can always do another 2 rounds of exactly the thing we did here in the mobility part. Good luck, press pause. Let's get ready for the actual workout of the day that has 3 different movements, all gonna attack the back here. So it's a big backup that we're gonna hit here today. You're gonna need your elastic bands, so grab those. For the first movement, which Sval and Ben will demo in a second, you wanna wrap your elastic band around a pole. And you can always do that 2 ways. You can get the entire band around it, which allows you to have more band tension, specifically in that end position, or you take one part of the band around, or you attach it, and then you have 2 separate parts, which is slightly lighter. Still, use the tension on the band to make it harder or easier for you, okay? Now let's have a look at the 3 movements, starting off with the first one. Okay, we have alternating band rows, so they're gonna go in a quarter squat, set themselves up properly. They're gonna start off with rowing with the left hand, then they come back in, and then they start rowing with the right hand. I don't want you to just keep rowing the entire time. And as one arm goes back and forth, you set up the other hand. Now the non-working arm, ladies and gentlemen, still has tension in the back. So I don't want you to relax the back. The lat should always be tight. The lat is what we call that wide muscle that gives you that airplane look in the back. Big wings, baby. We can also call this workout wings, by the way, chicken wings. Here we go. Very nice. So you see the difference in how Ben and Sval apply the band? Ben has a slightly lighter variation, Sval has a slightly harder variation. All right, gentlemen, let's rest and go back to your original spots. Oh, Ben, by the way, let's show the scaling option for injuries. Now, today we consider scaling for injuries because we have all pulling movements having anything to do with the elbow or the bicep, so we focus on straight arm movement. So what Ben's gonna do is gonna keep the band forward with bend tension. He's gonna have, can you sit your butt back a bit more so you have some more tension there? That's very good. Now with straight arms, you're thinking about driving the arm down. So basically this is called a kayak row. So we're gonna have one arm at a time moving, squeezing the lat. Now what's very important here is you wanna think of this. The shoulder stays low as possible, and you wanna make as big of a half circle as you can with the arm that is moving. Think about driving first down to the knee and then back behind the hip. That is your movement. Very good, Ben. Thank you. Now we move on to our second movement. Our second movement will be a bend over row with the band, with a supinated grip, which means the palms are going to be facing forward. Very important detail here. Now, Sval is standing on the entire band, which makes it harder. Ben is standing on one side of the band, which makes it a bit easier. Now, from here, arms start extended, chest is slightly up. We pull the elbows close to the body and up. Let's go, gentlemen. And then bring them back down. You guys keep making rows here. Good. Now, as always, at home, when you're doing work with bands, realize that there's tension on the way up and there's also tension on the way down. A movement does not have one direction here, right? A snatch has one direction, upwards, a heavy snatch. But a row has an upward movement and a downward movement. We specifically wanted to see that happen in the workout today. Very good rows, guys. Now we're gonna have a look at bend again for what? For the injury option of, like I said, the elbow tendonitis or the bicep or whatever you're hurting there. We're going to still have the band in the same setup for ease. We're gonna have the arms straight and extended. We're going to just do a regular front raise. Either to shoulder height or slightly higher, whatever feels comfortable for you. That's very good. Again, when you're raising the straight arm, you wanna focus on pinching the shoulder down, which is actually what the lat muscles are doing. They're driving the shoulder back into the socket downwards. Great job, man. Now, our third movement, our favorite movement, the bend pull apart. You're gonna have the band forward in an extended arm position. An important detail is always wrist, elbow, and shoulder are all in the same line, and they remain in the same line throughout the movement. Okay, now let's have a look. There's in the starting position, there's tension on the band. You're gonna literally just rip that band apart until it touches the chest. They're gonna come back forward. Now, while they're moving, same details here. Keep the shoulders down, but make sure that the elbow, wrist, and shoulder stay in the same line. If you have a slight bend in the elbow, which I'm okay with, just make sure it stays exactly the same. If you go from flexion to extension of the elbow joint, the triceps gonna take over the work, and we need the rear delts to get fired up here. And I will tell you, in the workout, doing this for 45 seconds straight will burn the hell out of your rear delts. We just showed you 3 movements, all pulling movements there. If you have that injury with the elbow, please be careful and take the movements that we actually showed you as injury options, right? Now, the concept is the following. We're gonna have the interval timer set at 16 intervals, right? 16 intervals of 45 seconds of work and then 15 seconds of rest. It's gonna go the following way. It's 4 rounds of 4 sets. First set, alternating rows against the pole. Second set, bend over rows, supinated grip. Third set, bend pull aparts. Fourth set, rest. And then loop that 4 times, and then you have the biggest back pump you've ever had. Now, if you guys are ready to start, I know you guys are ready to start, join us in this one. I'm gonna set the timer. I'm gonna click start because I know the gentlemen are anxious to start here. In 10 seconds, we're gonna go off with the bent rows. Now don't go for reps here, just go for pump. 3, 2, 1, and go. And as always, the first round will be the easiest one. Ben, can you go 1 arm at a time for me, buddy? Yeah, we go. We're alternating, yes. So lots of people always refer to rows as the saw movement, right? And I don't know if it's Wednesday, but the man of saw might be here to cut the week through the half, to the middle. We have 20 seconds left. 1 arm saws. The good thing is every movement gets slightly easier actually, and the pump just gets bigger and bigger. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So detach your band. At home as well, you detach your band. You go stand at whatever spot you're comfortable in standing. You go set up yourself properly. Grab that band, supinate your grip, palms forward, 3, 2, 1, and game time for 45 seconds. Now guys, the supination of the grip actually allows you to target the lats a bit easier. It's not that you suddenly can change all the pressure into a different part of the back, but lots of people, when they pronate their grip, are gonna pull their elbows a little bit more to the outside, having more contraction there of the shoulder blades coming together. And we actually want the lats to do as much work as possible. So as long as the elbow is moving in a very big range of motion close to the body, we're sure that lat's doing a lot of work. We got 15 seconds left here. I know the pump's playing a part here, which is good. And we finish off this first round with doing the band pull apart. We got 5 more seconds, gentlemen. Don't stop, please. Don't stop. All right, 15 seconds of rest, and now the fun starts. We finish off this round with bend pull aparts, and at home when you're having a rough time, be aware after this you have a minute of full rest. So 3, 2, 1. Gentlemen, let's hit it. Let's go. So in the beginning, you just want to start out nice and slow. Try to keep that band chest height approximately. Think about your pinkies pulling to the outside and then pulling back. Good. And again, even in that middle portion, you want to keep tension on the band. We got 30 seconds left here. Well, I love bend pull aparts, as you guys probably saw in the programming, for lots of sets and especially for very high volume. It fires up the rear delts very good. And often it's a neglected part of the shoulder And if you don't tackle that part often, you might get shoulder injuries. So it's very good for stabilizing weights overhead and such. We got 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and break. So this true bodybuilding session did not come to an end yet. We just did 1 round. You need to do 3 more. Let's get ready. Let's get started. You guys continue. Bye-bye.